right, it's KP's Video News, y'all. Playing the bongos. Yeah. All right, folks. It's Saturday, February 12th. As one of my coworkers named Petaway used to call it the Soup Bowl. Soup Bowl is tomorrow, man. Ready to watch the Soup Bowl? Watch the Soup Bowl. Well, they ain't in it, but I don't have a Rams jersey and I don't have a Bengals jersey, so wear what you got. Anyway, yeah, tomorrow's got Super Bowl jumping off, and I already predicted that this Super Bowl halftime show will probably be the least watched Super Bowl halftime show in a long time because of what the country's been going through, uh, with all the hate and racism and all that. You know, you know what's gonna happen tomorrow. You got all these rappers and people that are gonna be on this doing the halftime show, and a lot of those Trumpers out there are gonna turn it off. They're gonna turn it off, and they're gonna do something else. They might turn the Super Bowl off, and probably won't even watch the second half after the Super Bowl halftime show comes on. But anyway, Super Bowl Sunday, coincidentally, is also the number one day for domestic abuse, and I'm just gonna speak a little bit on that, just quickly. All right, I'm gonna put it in a nutshell. Women out there, if you don't like football, stay out of the way. That's the only thing I can say. Because if your husband, boyfriend, his friends, his buddies are all over, and they're all over watching the game, they're watching the Super Bowl, and don't get all in your feelings thinking, well, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to walk in front of the TV to make sure he sees me. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Because, for some reason that people go crazy over this. And it's a real possibility that somebody might put hands on you. So I'm just giving you a heads up. Don't be walking around trying to come through the house half naked. And I want to, you know, uh, it's not going to work. It's not going to work in your favor. So just let them watch the game. Game's over. Before the game, you can do whatever. But after when the game's on, just leave them alone and let them watch the game. That might be all they asking. Just leave me alone so I can watch the game. Anyway, on with the show. We have Freeway Rick, the real Freeway Rick Ross, doesn't hide. Not that fake fat Rick Ross called himself a rapper. That's not Rick Ross. That's not even his name. He stole this guy's name. Freeway Rick Ross doesn't hide from a past that stretches and he was an icon running a rich and famous set, and so he made his estimated revenue was about $900 million. This is part 2 of what I started yesterday, and so it said he was making about $3 million a day. That's what federal prosecutors estimated at one time, selling drugs in L.A. and several other states. And so it said he ruled over the drug game for years. Rick Ross, now 62 years old. He wants to try to do something else. He's trying to do something else. And he's getting involved in the boxing, which many would say is around the corner of the same red light district as the drug game. But Freeway Rick's, he has a team, Freeway Boxing, working as an advisor in conjunction with businessman Rick Glazer. Ross already signed undefeated prospects Nafir Charles, Vashon Champion, Eric Giannis, and Alvin Valmo Jr., and former contender Anthony Patterson. So he already got some fighters signed up. Ross has lived many lives and seen the world from a billion places, including behind bars, where he learned how to read at 28 years old. So he says he's been able to conquer anything that he ever done. when I got into drugs. I thought it was about the money, but when I made the money, uh, I thought I would ever make, then he ended up going to prison. So uh, he said he didn't have to go to prison if he didn't want to. And after he was in prison, he realized I thought my way into prison and I thought my way out of prison. If you think of something, what I've learned in life, thinking is a tangible thing. People think negative things and things come out in negative ways. When you have something on your mind constantly, it happens. It's like a football player that's always thinking about getting hurt. They're playing to get hurt. So Ross said he was sitting in prison writing his first book. Any kid who picked it up would find out about the drug business. Ross wanted to also provide an inside look at the drug trade. As he was writing the book, Ross thought back on a time when he went to Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler fight in Las Vegas. Ross was with all the major Los Angeles drug dealers sitting in a diner when Don King walked in. Ross always wondered what would happen if he approached King about entering the boxing business. I always thought if I did that, what would have happened when King got older, I would have been able to take over and take the reins, Ross said. I thought about that all the time when I was in prison. After he got out in 2009, I was in a halfway house, and one of the guys in the house put me on the phone with Floyd Mayweather Jr. Floyd looked up to me when I looked me up when I got out, and Floyd said he would be there when I got out, and he was, and that impressed me. I was making $3 million a day at the height of my power. This is my second chance. Ross hopes to cultivate the group of fighters he has with teaching them interview skills and what they need to do to build their brand. So I've been moving fast. When I got Charles, who was 2-0. Now he's 8-1 with 7 knockouts. Ross said, when I look at boxing right now, I see someone like Jake Paul come right in. And if he was a businessman, he would be able to take over without any resistance. Boxing is not about beating people up anymore. It's about how popular you are. I've been out 13 years and it's changed my life. And this is the second chance. I'll keep saying I want to help guys with their marketing and educate them on how to make themselves more popular. Ross has earmarked numerous title contenders and then decided to build his way up with fighters who are beginning. But why boxing? You need billions of dollars to buy an NBA or NFL franchise. You don't need billions to get into the boxing game, Ross stated. Boxing is the cheapest way. You can have a guy get his start and take off, then you're in business. Yep. Yeah, I'm telling you, man. Yep. So he said he had blocks when he was running this business. A high school dropout, and I learned how to read and write while I was in prison. I became so good at it, I could debate the law with anyone. So it's what got me out of prison. Now Ross hopes he conquers the boxing world. So here we go. Yep, here we go. So he's getting ready to go through the motions now. Yep. Yeah, I got a chance to meet him back in the day. He had a little spot that was right there by the apartment I was living in. And I'm telling you, man, he is a colorful character. Real colorful character, man. Yep. Anyway, let me see. Where am I gonna go with this? All right, I'm gonna go on with this. I'm just gonna go in order, the order that I have these stories here. So is slavery still legal in the United States? Yes, under the 13th Amendment exception. So you had people that drive up to Louisiana State Penitentiary as a trip back in time, with men forced to labor in its fields, some still picking cotton right to this day for as little as 2 cents an hour. Prison was and it still is a plantation. So that's Louisiana State Penitentiary. Wow. A recent poll commissioned by Worth Rises revealed that 68% of Americans don't know that there's an exception in the 13th Amendment of the Constitution, and the amendment celebrated for abolishing slavery, another 20%, there's an exception if the sitting president decides, as part of his wartime efforts or in the interest of public safety. Thankfully, these exceptions don't exist, but slavery very much still does. So let's revisit that history lesson. Immediately following the passage of the 13th Amendment in 1865, Southern states and localities used this exception to pass black codes and other vagrancy laws to criminalize and re-enslave newly freed black people. These laws prohibited black people from moving freely, owning land, congregating, being employed, and more. Punishment often included incarceration and then forced labor through convict leasing, a brutal practice in which government leased incarcerated people to private businesses. Remarkably, the condition created by convict leasing could be worse than those during slavery. Starvation and beatings were normal at the human consequences inconsequential throughout the South. Annual death rates rose from 16% to 25% during convict leasing. Enslavers no longer had to shell out cash to purchase and care for enslaved people. And as one said in 1883, but these convicts, we don't own them. One dies, get another. As the people suffered and died, states profited from the lease arrangements. As of the late 1800s, some southern states were bringing in more than 70% of their revenue from convict leasing. The James Prison Camp, which later became Louisiana State Penitentiary, was one of those labor camps, commonly referred to it by its plantation name, Angola, after the native country of the enslaved people who toiled in the land before the Civil War. Much of the 18,000-acre plantation was owned by one of the largest slave traders in the United States, Franklin and Armfield. In 1880, after Isaac Franklin's death, his widow sold the plantation to Samuel Lawrence James, who had a lease with Louisiana to house its incarcerated population in exchange for the profits from their labor. James went on to sublease the incarcerated people to private corporations, building levees and railroads. Under James's convict leasing regime, people had a higher chance of dying than they did in slavery. Convict leasing fell out of favor with the public over time, but the enslavement of incarcerated people and the racial subjugation that accompanied it never did. In 1898, Louisiana outlawed convict leasing. The state assumed control of Angola shortly after, but kept the prison farm going and retained James's son as the plantation manager. And for decades, wardens and other prison staff on the plantation with their families and used the incarcerated men as their personal labor force. Wow. So they had a steel working farm with more than 5,000 incarcerated men, 75% who are black, and 74% of them had life sentences. As the largest prison in the United States and one of the oldest, Angola's history is critical, but it's not uncommon. And more importantly, plantation prisons are no longer the only plantations. Right now, there are roughly 1.2 million people in prison across the United States who can be and often are legally enslaved. When people are incarcerated, they are forced to labor under threat of punishment and often in grueling conditions for little or no pay. The average hourly wage is 14 cents per hour in 5 states. And all the South pay nothing at all for most jobs. Correctional administrators exploit the preference for facility jobs over field jobs, and in the way that enslavers would grossly incarcerate between house slaves and field slaves. The punishments for refusing to work are again drawn from the antebellum slavery, including solitary confinement, then and now commonly referred to as the hold, and the separation of families through the denial of visits and calls. Like Louisiana, Texas still has incarcerated people picking cotton, even at a net loss to the state. Why? If not to confirm the proximity of slavery and trigger the trauma that runs through black people's veins. Slavery has always been about more than forced labor and wages. It's about power and control and establishing supremacy, forcing subordination, and degrading pride. As a historian, Walter Johnson explains, it relies on the recognition of one's humanity, the ability to feel joy and peace and pain and fear to do so. Man, this is crazy, man. This still goes on right today. But resiliency has kept the abolition movement alive, and the fight for the abolition of slavery continues on and off today's plantations. Last year, in the Exception Coalition, comprised of more than 80 national coalitions supported by Jeff Merkley and the Congresswoman Nikema Williams, introducing abolition amendment in Congress. The new amendment simply reads, neither slavery, nor involuntary servitude may it be imposed as punishment for a crime. A dozen words we should all be able to get behind and tell our Congress members to support. With the passage of the Abolition Amendment, unravel the inmate relationships between the U.S. Incarceration system and slavery. It will be up to the courts, and it will be all of the people, us, to see that it does. And to start, we must accept that a system based on white supremacy and human degradation cannot be the basis of a system of justice. We must abolish slavery without exception and let the cards fall where they may, because we cannot do what we cannot do is be so committed to our incarceration system that we are knowingly recommitting ourselves into slavery. Wow. So that's my Black History story of the day. And it has everything to do with slavery is still going on, folks. Some of these people are getting paid absolutely nothing that are locked up in prison. Absolutely nothing. No pay whatsoever. And like, wow, man. They're in jail. You go to jail, go right back into slavery again. So that penitentiary system, that system that they have is just another form of slavery. Once you go to jail, you lose your rights. Go to prison, you lose your rights, and they take you and they force you to work for free or for 14 cents an hour, which is almost like free. Wow. In this day and age, man, it still goes on in America. So don't get it twisted, folks. Don't get it twisted. Okay, Bomani Jones gets blasted online for saying white people are the problem in the NFL. But since Brian Flores shocked the sporting world with this lawsuit against the NFL, everybody has come out to give their take on the situation. The former head coach is alleging he experienced racial discrimination during the hiring process. If you listen to Bomani Jones, the NFL has a problem, and it's white people. I just don't know why people try to make this far more complex than it is. What's the problem? White people. So who are the ones that are making the decisions? White people. Who are the ones that won't change their decision making? White people. Who are the ones that only do anything in a different way when it comes to these matters at the threat of litigation? White people. Y'all are the ones. These white people, he added, you're the ones that are hanging out with these white people. You're the ones that know the ones that pretend to be such good people and then make all the same decisions as everybody else. So it's all the same. In the lawsuit, Flores, among other things, alleges that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross incentivized him to lose games during the 2019 season to get better draft picks by offering to pay him $100,000 per loss. Flores declined, and the team started winning games. Early Wednesday, Flores appeared on Get Up, where he told Miami players about the alleged incentive. That was a conversation about not doing as much as we needed to do in order to win football games, the former coach said. Take a flight, go on vacation. I'll give you $100,000 for the loss. Those were his exact words. I deal in truth and tell the players this. I'm going to give you good news, bad news, but it's going to be honest. To disrespect the game like that, trust was lost, and there were certainly some strained relationships. And ultimately, I think that it was my demise in Miami, Flores stated. And Flores was the head coach of the Miami Dolphins for 3 seasons before he was fired at the end of the 2021 season. And he led the Dolphins to a 24-25 record span. The Dolphins never made it to the playoffs in those 3 years. So, yep. Wow. That is something else, man. That is something else. And this is the last story here. They got a woman that believes she may have captured a video of police planting evidence in somebody's car. Kelly DeLaura was simply trying to enjoy a nighttime snack in her car a few days ago while streaming on TikTok live feature. And when she got dinner on the show, in the form of police stop happening right in front of her car. She quickly turned the video around so her viewers could see it. When one moment she seemed to show someone going into the stopped person's car, and out of nowhere. Now, Delores' followers have come to suspect that the video may have been captured police doing something sinister. A man wearing civilian clothes can be seen opening the car door, doing something inside, and leaving it again before the police arrive and arrest the woman who appeared to be driving the car ensued. When viewers later saw this man interact with the police, because convinced that he was a cop who planted the evidence. What, sir, is this an undercover cop? Who is this guy? Delora can be heard saying in the video, clearly very confused by the situation before landing on a conclusion. Yeah, that was another cop dressed like a civilian. And what's in that bag? She continued as the police swarmed it and stopped the car and started to shine the light on her. The video received over 4.6 million views. While the legality of police planting evidence varies from state to state, tampering with evidence could certainly save many people from wrongful incarcerations. One of the viewers that was on the lives that said that it looked like the guy had walked up and put something in the car, so included that clip because it looked weird. Then when the cop was asking, did they see anything? And then they were pointing and looking at me, she explained in another part. She emphasizes in the comment of the original video and videos that she followed up with that she isn't sure what's going on and is it implying that the officer is doing anything illegal. But everyone else isn't entirely convinced that the police are innocent. Minding her business about to take down a whole police force, said one of the comments in reference to a caption, minding my business, eating snacks. Said, yeah, no way, you just caught a felony on camera. Said, you need to contact the district attorney for your area as soon as possible. You may have just saved more than one person. People suggest she talk to the FBI and reach out to several media outlets to bring attention to the situation in order to protect herself from what threats she might face from the police. And a small minority of people, yep, I'm telling you, man, there it is, man. You got people out there, they caught them on tape, caught the cops on tape, planting evidence in somebody's car. You got it on video. You go over there on TikTok and you can see it. Anyway, that's right, folks. Like I said, it's KP's Video News, and yep, yeah, KP's Video News, y'all. Well, let me do this one right quick because this is funny. You got a Georgia County sheriff is accused of groping a prominent local judge in an annual law enforcement conference last month. Bleckley County Sheriff Christopher Cootie has been charged with sexual battery after he allegedly fondled the judge at a hotel bar at the Renaissance Waverly, Atlanta, in Cobb County in January during the 3-day Georgia Sheriff's Association winter meeting. Police said Cootie did place his hands on the victim's body parts without the victim's consent. And according to his arrest warrant, the judge's identity was not made public. Cootie has been arrested, and he is currently outside of the state on a church mission trip that has been scheduled for nearly a year. Oh, man. Sheriff Cootie has been law enforcement for more than 2 decades, and so it's like, during the investigation, Cootie's ex-wife filed a criminal complaint against him for letting his 12-year-old daughter drive his police cruiser on the highway, which he admitted. Cootie's bond is expected to be set at a low $1,000. Busting the doggone sheriff. Sheriff over there fondling the judge, man. Yep. White sheriff over there fondling the judge, trying to grope the judge. I'm telling you. What'll they think of next? KP Video News, y'all. Oh yeah. By the way, message again. If your man is watching the football game and you don't like football, just stay out the room. Go over one of your friends' houses. Do something else. Just go in the kitchen. Do something. But just if you're not going to be into the game, just stay out the way. I'm trying to help save you from getting humiliated here, because that's tomorrow. Super Bowl Sunday is the most highest day of domestic abuse. It's the #1 day for domestic abuse in the United States. It's KP